In a quiet suburb of Denver, Colorado, 30-year-old Amanda had been married to her husband, Brian, for 6 years. Their two-story craftsman home with the white picket fence and neatly trimmed lawn was the envy of the neighborhood. Amanda, with her warm smile and patient demeanor, was beloved by her second-grade students at Meadowbrook Elementary. Brian, tall and confident in his firefighter uniform, was respected throughout the community for his bravery and dedication. Their 4-year-old daughter, Lily, had her father's bright blue eyes and her mother's infectious laugh. Family photos adorning their walls told the story of a perfect American family: camping trips to the Rockies, holiday gatherings with extended family, and backyard barbecues with neighbors. For years, their life had been a seamless tapestry of shared dreams and mutual support. "We're really doing it, aren't we?" Brian had whispered to Amanda on the night they learned she was pregnant with their second child. His eyes had glistened with tears as he placed his hand gently on her still flat stomach. "Building our dream family." Amanda had believed him then. She had believed in them. The first changes were subtle, almost imperceptible. Brian began checking his phone more frequently at dinner, quickly turning it face down when Amanda glanced his way. His standard 12-hour shifts at the firehouse gradually extended to 14, sometimes 16 hours. Staffing shortages, he'd explain with a tired smile, kissing her forehead before disappearing upstairs to shower. "Daddy's saving people," Amanda would tell Lily when the little girl asked why her father wasn't home for bedtime stories 3 nights in a row. At 18 weeks pregnant, Amanda noticed Brian's growing reluctance to attend doctor's appointments. "Chief can't spare me today, babe," he'd say, genuinely appearing regretful. "Text me a picture of the ultrasound." Amanda did, every time, treasuring his enthusiastic responses: "Our little champion is growing so fast," or "Look at that strong heartbeat." But the distance between them was growing too, widening like a crack in a foundation, small at first, then increasingly impossible to ignore. "Everything okay with you and Brian?" her sister Jessica asked during their weekly coffee date. "You seem—" "I don't know, distracted." "He's just working so much," Amanda had replied, absently stirring her decaf. "The department's been short-staffed since 2 guys transferred last month." Jessica had given her a long look but didn't press further. The morning sickness that had plagued Amanda's first trimester had finally subsided, giving way to a burst of nesting energy. She decided to surprise Brian by reorganizing their closet, something he'd been suggesting they do together for months. As she sorted through his winter clothes, she found a receipt from Aspen Grove restaurant dated 3 weeks earlier, a Tuesday when Brian had texted that his crew was working a warehouse fire all night. 2 entrees, 2 glasses of wine, paid at 10:47 p.m. Amanda's heart had stuttered, but she'd forced herself to set the receipt aside. There must be an explanation. There always was. Until there wasn't. On a rainy Thursday afternoon, Amanda returned home early after her principal canceled the staff meeting due to a power outage. Brian was supposed to be working, but his truck was in the driveway. Surprised but pleased, she entered quietly, thinking she might surprise him. The sound of the shower running upstairs told her where he was. As she passed through the kitchen, Brian's phone buzzed on the counter. A message notification lit up the screen: "Can't wait to see you tonight." Same place. The sender was saved as Melissa W. Amanda froze, her hand instinctively moving to her swollen belly, as if to protect the baby from what she was seeing. The familiar sensation of the baby kicking felt suddenly foreign. For a long moment, she stood motionless, her mind racing through possibilities, seeking innocent explanations. Maybe Melissa was a new firefighter. Maybe they were planning a department event. But deep down, Amanda knew. With trembling fingers, she picked up Brian's phone. His passcode was Lily's birthday, a detail that now seemed like a cruel mockery of family devotion. She opened the messaging app and found the conversation with Melissa. "Last night was amazing," read a message from 3 days ago. "I can't stop thinking about you." "I've never felt this way about anyone," Brian had responded. It's driving me crazy having to hide how I feel. Amanda scrolled up, her vision blurring with tears as she uncovered months of exchanges, secret meetings at a hotel near the hospital where Melissa worked as a paramedic, plans carefully orchestrated around Amanda's teaching schedule, intimate details that seared themselves into her mind. "What about your wife?" Melissa had asked once. Amanda's focused on the pregnancy and Lily, Brian had replied. "She doesn't suspect anything. She trusts me completely." And she had. God, she had. The shower stopped. Amanda quickly replaced the phone exactly as she'd found it and moved to the living room, sinking onto the sofa. She felt oddly calm, as if watching herself from a distance. When Brian came downstairs, his hair still damp, he startled visibly at the sight of her. "You're home early," he said, recovering quickly with a smile that now seemed like a mask. "Everything okay at school?" "Power outage," Amanda replied, her voice surprisingly steady. "Sit down, Brian. We need to talk." His expression shifted, a flicker of apprehension quickly replaced by casual concern. "What's up, babe? Is it the baby?" "No," Amanda said quietly. "It's about Melissa." The color drained from Brian's face so rapidly that under different circumstances, Amanda might have been concerned for his health. His mouth opened, then closed, then opened again, but no words came out. "I saw her message," Amanda continued, her composure beginning to crack. "And I read your conversations. All of them." Brian's shoulders slumped as the pretense evaporated. He sank into the armchair across from her, running his hands through his hair. "How long?" Amanda asked, though she already knew the answer. "For months," he admitted, his voice barely audible. "Amanda, Is it serious?" she interrupted, needing to know everything now that the floodgates had opened. Brian hesitated, which was answer enough. "It started as, just physical. The job, you know how intense it gets. We'd come back from these horrible calls, and Melissa would understand in a way that." He trailed off, seeming to realize there was no good way to finish that sentence. "In a way that I couldn't," Amanda finished for him, her hand protectively covering her belly. "Because I'm just a teacher, not out there saving lives like you two heroes." "That's not what I meant," Brian protested weakly. "It just happened, Amanda. I never planned for this. I never wanted to hurt you." Amanda laughed, a harsh sound foreign to her own ears. "Well, that's a comfort. You didn't plan to destroy our family. It just happened. Like a lightning strike or a flash flood, just one of those unavoidable natural disasters." "I'll end it," Brian said quickly, leaning forward. "Right now. I'll call her and end it. We can go to counseling. I'll switch stations. Whatever it takes." Amanda looked at him, really looked at him, and saw not the strong, dependable man she'd married, but someone she barely recognized. Someone who could lie to her face day after day, who could touch her growing belly with the same hands that had caressed another woman hours earlier. "I need you to leave," she said quietly. "Tonight. Go to your brother's, or a hotel, or—" She couldn't bring herself to say the obvious alternative. "Just not here. Amanda, please. I'm 22 weeks pregnant with your child, Brian. I need space to figure out what's best for our children. For me." Brian's eyes filled with tears, real ones, she thought distantly. "I love you," he whispered. "I never stopped loving you." "That might be the worst part," Amanda replied, finally allowing her own tears to fall. "Go pack a bag. I'll call Jessica to come stay with me tonight." The following weeks passed in a blur of emotion. Amanda alternated between numb shock, white-hot anger, and devastating grief. Jessica moved in temporarily, fielding calls from concerned friends and taking Lily to preschool when Amanda couldn't face the sympathetic glances from other parents. Brian called daily, his messages increasingly desperate. "Please let me come home. I'll do anything to fix this. I miss you and Lily so much. Amanda allowed him to see Lily on weekends, coordinating handoffs through Jessica to avoid face-to-face interaction. Each time Lily returned from these visits, her innocent questions tore at Amanda's heart. Why can't Daddy come home? Is it because I was bad? When will our family be together again? At her 28-week appointment, the obstetrician expressed concern about Amanda's elevated blood pressure and stress levels. The baby's doing fine, Dr. Chen assured her, but I'm worried about you. Have you considered counseling? The following day, Amanda called the therapist recommended by her doctor. Dr. Marissa Sandoval, a specialist in relationship trauma, became Amanda's lifeline. During their twice-weekly sessions, Amanda began processing the betrayal and its aftermath. I keep replaying every moment of the past year, Amanda confessed during one session. Looking for signs I missed. Times I should have known. That's very common, Dr. Sandoval replied gently. But remember, trust isn't foolishness, Amanda. Trust is necessary for love. You weren't blind, you were being the partner you promised to be. Brian, too, had begun therapy, according to Jessica, who remained in limited contact with him. He'd joined a support group for people who had damaged their relationships through infidelity. He'd transferred to a station across town and had, by all accounts, ended things with Melissa. He seems genuinely remorseful, Jessica reported cautiously. Not that it excuses anything. At 34 weeks pregnant, Amanda agreed to meet with Brian and their respective therapists for a mediated conversation. Seeing him, thinner, with dark circles under his eyes, provoked a complex storm of emotions she wasn't prepared for. I've been doing a lot of work to understand why I made such destructive choices, Brian said, his voice steady but his hands trembling slightly. I've realized I've been using the adrenaline of my job, and then the affair, to avoid dealing with my own fears about fatherhood and responsibility. Amanda listened as he detailed his therapy insights, his new understanding of boundaries, and his commitment to being a better father, regardless of their marital status. I know I've broken something precious, he concluded. Something that may not be reparable. But I want you to know that I'm committed to being the father our children deserve, and to respecting whatever decision you make about our marriage. In the parking lot afterward, standing beside their separate cars, Amanda felt the baby kick forcefully. Your son is active today, she said, the first personal words she'd spoken directly to Brian in nearly 3 months. Brian's eyes widened. A boy? Amanda nodded, a conflicted smile tugging at her lips. Found out last week. Brian's expression, pure joy immediately tempered by the recognition that he'd lost the right to share fully in such moments, nearly broke her resolve to maintain emotional distance. Can I? He gestured tentatively toward her belly. Amanda hesitated, then nodded. As Brian placed his hand gently where their son was kicking, the familiar intimacy of the gesture brought fresh tears to her eyes. I'm so sorry, Amanda, he whispered, his forehead nearly touching hers. I would give anything to undo what I've done. I know, she replied, stepping back. But we can't go backward. Only forward. 4 weeks later, Ryan James Calloway entered the world after 18 hours of labor. Brian was present at Amanda's request, supporting her through the delivery with a care and focus that reminded her of their early years together. As she watched Brian hold their son, his face transformed by wonder and love, Amanda felt the first genuine stirring of forgiveness. Not for his sake, but for her own, and for their children. During her maternity leave, Amanda made her decision. Despite Brian's consistent efforts at redemption and his unwavering support since Ryan's birth, the trust that had been the foundation of their marriage was irretrievably shattered. She could forgive, but she could not forget or rebuild on a foundation so fundamentally compromised. I'll always care for you as the father of my children, she told him as they finalized their co-parenting agreement. But I deserve a relationship built on unbroken trust. The divorce was as amicable as such proceedings can be. They sold the house, dividing the proceeds to provide stable homes for both parents. Amanda found a townhouse closer to her school, with a small garden where Lily could plant sunflowers. Brian rented an apartment with enough bedrooms for both children during his custody time. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, Amanda ran into Melissa at a grocery store. The woman blanched upon recognizing her, clearly prepared for confrontation. But Amanda, with Ryan secured in his carrier and Lily chattering about ice cream, merely nodded in acknowledgement before continuing down the aisle. "Who was that lady, Mommy?" Lily asked. She looked scared. "Someone who made mistakes," Amanda replied carefully. "Just like we all do sometimes." That evening, as she tucked Lily into bed, her daughter asked the question that had been coming for months. "Do you still love Daddy?" Amanda smoothed Lily's hair from her forehead. "I will always love that Daddy gave me you and Ryan. And part of me will always love the person I thought Daddy was. But sometimes, sweetheart, love isn't enough when trust is broken." Later, rocking Ryan to sleep, Amanda reflected on the journey of the past year. The betrayal had nearly destroyed her, but in its aftermath, she had discovered reserves of strength she never knew she possessed. She had learned that forgiveness wasn't the same as reconciliation, that endings could also be beginnings, and that trust, once given freely and completely, required a much higher standard to be given again. As she kissed her son's forehead, Amanda made a silent promise to herself and her children: they would build their future on truth, however difficult, rather than comforting illusions. And somewhere down the road, when she was ready, she would open her heart again, wiser now, but not hardened, cautious, perhaps, but still capable of trust. After all, trust wasn't foolishness. It was courage.